Thank you very much. My burden is lightened a lot. I'm going to burden you for about 10 minutes only. Anyway, our honorable chief guest, president, guest of honors, special invitees, chiefs of the villages, friends who have come all the way from Ukhrul, but particularly the user communities from Kamjong. It is indeed a great pleasure for us to be able to organize a program like this in the midst of Kamjong, thanks to the very strong initiative that Brother Asang Kasar and Brother Filson has taken to make sure that the efforts that we were making in Imphal also reaches the hills of Manipur, particularly the Kamjong district, which we all know, and I think the scenario is very clear, especially after people like Namo Abhiram and Dr. Lucy have spoken. There is nothing for us to speak anymore. I think the scenario is very, very clear in front of us. We are already very deeply embroiled into this problem of drugs today. Now, this issue, the scenario is very clear in front of us. The only point that I want to make here is, how do we come out of this mess? And as I was trying to summarize my whole speech, which I have written quite a long speech, into 2 minutes, the word that came to me is, as they say, the sweetest songs are the ones that tells our saddest thoughts. The problem of drug in Manipur is by no means small. It is huge. Earlier, as we all know, it was a transit. Now it has become a poppy growing state and a poppy manufacturing state. But more than that, the reason why 3.5 Collective came into being was because we are slowly realizing that earlier people used to be very ashamed to say that they are drug traffickers. Earlier people were very shy to expose that they have connections with people who are in this illicit trade. But the way in which things are turning out in the last 4 to 5 years is that people are becoming quite proud to say that they are drug traffickers. People who are caught red-handed with crores of rupees of drugs are becoming heroes overnight. People are celebrating them. The system is so thoroughly manipulated that the courts can't do anything, police can't do anything. NDPS Act has become a joke in Manipur because so many acres and acres and acres of land is under poppy cultivation. Not a single person is arrested. According to Intelligence Bureau's report that goes to the Prime Minister of India, the annual turnover of drug trade in Manipur is today 50,000 crores. You know how much is Manipur's budget? 37,000 crores. Today, it is not only about individual drug addicts that we are supposed to be worried about. The political economy of Manipur today is run by drug money, and I am not exaggerating this. This is what the Intelligence Bureau briefs the Prime Minister. The amount of land that is under poppy cultivation is huge. Manipur Pedi requires 2 lakh bag of fertilizers, but Manipur officially received more than 4 lakh bags of fertilizer every year. And yet, our farmers who are doing genuine paddy cultivation cannot get access to this urea fertilizer. This has been talked about, this has been spoken about, this has been exposed. Brother Churamani is in the throes of this struggle trying to expose this. Yet, nothing can be done because this fertilizer are all required for poppy cultivation in the hills, in certain parts of hills, and it still continues. We all know about it, we'll all talk about it, and yet we can't do anything about it. So what do we do under these circumstances? Who is going to bring the change? Is our Chief Minister going to bring the change? I know there are some government officials also, but sometimes when we take off it's very difficult to control our tongues. But will war on drug be able to bring about this change? How many press conferences will bring about this change? When we know that Lukhosai Jau, who was arrested with 28 crore of drug, is still going scot-free. His daughter, whose car has been recently found to be used by the for drug trafficking, with a serving policeman delivering the drug, how long are we going to listen to this bullshitting of the people? And every day, the situation is going from bad to worse. Are we going to simply continue to do business as usual, or do we need something fundamentally different if we want to save our future generation from the clutches of these drugs? We know how terrible things are already. I have only one lesson that I want to share to you. It is only the wearer of the shoe who will know where the shoe actually pinches. If there has to be a change, a radical change where Manipur can become a drug-free state, that real change will come from people who have actually suffered from drug. Not from people who are benefiting from drug. People who are benefiting from drug are also willing the power in the state. So if we leave it to them, things are not going to change. If the people whose lives are destroyed by drug realize and understand that we need a change today, the users of Manipur, if they take a small resolution that we should all try to bring about this change, if people, because of poverty, are being dragged into taking part in this poppy cultivation, takes a decision today that we are not going to cooperate with these bloody murderers of our society who are making huge profit out of our vulnerability, it is the time, it is the moment that the change will happen. And this is what 3.5 Collective would like to see. It's not about big talks, it's not about big shows, it is about how when people whose lives are actually affected realizes and decide to change, it is then the change the genuine change will begin. And this is why we want to have a focus group discussion with the users community of Kamjong and identify what is the problem, what is the real problem, why is it that we are getting trapped into this drug problem over and over again, what is it that we need to do today so that our children and our grandchildren do not go through the same pain and suffering that we have went through. Just a word on why we call ourselves 3.5 Collective. The whole world have also now come up with a goal. It's called the Global Goal for 2030. The whole world is trying to come together and trying to have some direction on which the whole world wants to go. Everybody wants a good life, right? Nobody wants to live in poverty. Nobody wants to be starving. Nobody wants to be illiterate. Everybody wants to be treated equal to each other. And this is now all laid out. We want a world where the environment is safe. Thank God in Kamjong we can come and breathe fresh air. Our friend from Delhi who have come must be celebrating coming to Kamjong and breathing fresh air, right? Because this has become a huge issue. We need to save the planet. We need to save our people. We need to ensure that, you know, in Taiwan today, America and China is going to fight. And they have instruments to destroy this world not once, but 20 times. Do we need weapons to destroy this world 20 times? But we don't have money to buy ART for a drug addict. We don't have sufficient food to eat. which may cost, I don't know, 5 rupees. So this is the world that we live in. So the United Nations came together and they said that we want a sustainable world. And to have that sustainable world, they have come out with 17 sustainable development goals. And out of this sustainable development goal 17, goal number 3 is about good health. Is there anybody who doesn't want a good health in this room? All of us want to have good health. And out of this, goal number 3 of how we should all have good health and well-being, target number 5, all goal is divided into smaller targets. Target number 5 is specifically about how to prevent and treat people who are using narcotic drugs and harmful use of alcohol. So the entire world is trying to achieve a drug-free world by 2030. And the reason why we came together under the name of 3.5 Collective, many people are asking, why are you calling yourself 3.5? Because in the insurgency-affected situation of Manipur, 303 is more important, right? Not 305. So people are asking, why 3.5? We said 3.5 is because the Sustainable Development Goal, which the whole world is trying to achieve, 3.5 talks about prevention and treatment of drug addict. What we have heard from Dr. Lucy and Tamo Abhiram is about treatment of these people who are already affected. We need a whole society approach. It cannot be left only to the Max department or social welfare department or to the health minister, health department of the country. If we really want to achieve sustainable development, the approach that is required is called the whole society approach. The whole society should be involved in it because all of us are stakeholders in it. Because all of us need to come together. It is only when we come together that the real change will happen. Otherwise, one project will come, one project will go, the doctors will get retired, and it is only when we, the last people, the last person who are supposed to be affected by this problem started realizing for himself or herself and started asserting his or her right to be a human being, a dignified human being, and to achieve these sustainable development goals that the world have projected for all of us, only then will the real change come about. So our effort in the 3.5 Collective is to have a whole society approach. And that is why we said this dialogue, this debate, this discussion should be by all the sections of the society, but led by the users, led by the victims of this problem. Only then will the real change come about. Let me end. I know I must have caught already 10 minutes by now. You know, Mahatma Gandhi was traveling in a train as a young barrister in South Africa one day. And he was rich enough to buy a ticket for first class. But those days, brown people cannot enter into a first-class train. So he was thrown out from the train. And he was so humiliated. He felt so bad about himself, you know, being born brown, the system which privileged the white people. He was very angry. He was very traumatized. But what did he do? Does he take a bomb and blast all the first-class train? He didn't. He realized the problem, he tried to understand it, he learned it, and he dedicated all his life to fight for it. And he eventually became the Mahatma. We all experience trauma in this life. The people who were in the middle of drug addiction have experienced horrendous life in their own situation. What do? We reject, we commit suicide, we say nothing is going to change, let's just live our life? Or are we going to commit ourselves that what happened to me was bad enough? I don't want my children and the future generation to undergo that kind of a horrible situation is the critical question. We all experience trauma in life. We all experience bad experiences in life. the question of success and failure, we as a people, will we succeed or fail, depends on how we take this trauma. Will we convert this trauma into an endless cycle of revenge and more violence, or do we understand this trauma, learn lesson from this, and try to change? Will trauma become a teacher for us to bring about that change is the critical question. And this is what we have done with fake encounters in Manipur. Do we know that 10 years from today, Manipur was in the middle of lots of fake encounters? Every day you open a newspaper, you see 2, 3, 4, 5 fake encounters. That has stopped in the last 1 decade. And how did it stop? Is it because Chief Minister Ibobi have decided to start war against fake encounter? Was it? Was it big lawyers who take 1 crore rupees for fighting a case that bring about that change? Is it loud mouths like me who talk human rights all the time that bring about that change? The change came about when 1,528 families of fake encounter came together and decided that we are going to fight against this phenomena of fake encounter. It was very risky. There were a lot of threats. There were a lot of intimidations initially, but ultimately today, Manipur has become free of fake encounter because this totally helpless, illiterate, ignorant widows have come together and say, enough is enough, we want a change. Today, we are coming to Kamjong to plead to the drug user communities of Kamjong with our friends from drug users of other parts of the state that we need to come and decide and resolve for ourselves. Forget about the government for the time being. Are we all convinced that drug is bad? Are we all convinced that poppy cultivation is bad? Are we all convinced that we are determined to bring about that change? And if we have taken that decision, by the end of this consultation, I think half the journey or half the war is won. The real war has to be fought within ourselves, and this has to be led by people who have actually experienced the pain of what is it to be a drug addict. Thank you very much, and we hope the rest of the consultation continues with this spirit. Thank you very much.